Hello and welcome to this new edition of our show, which is Overcoming Overwhelm, a nervous system approach to health, wealth, and success. And today's incredible guest, I'm so excited to be here and get to know her a little bit more and to share her with you. Her name is Renée Michaud. And this is such an incredible woman. She has a passion for helping smart, successful women finally put an end to the painful cycle of self-sabotage so they can start thriving in all areas of their life instead of self-sabotage, we can thrive, right?
Yes.
In her own life, she felt like there was no way out of this endless cycle. She struggled for decades until she discovered the key to finally getting free. And her number one goal is to help as many women as possible to do the same so that they are living their best lives ever. Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here and for sharing time with us and offering this incredible, important topic, bringing this to us, because self-sabotage, and you and I have talked about this, and I love your approach. It's very much the same as mine. It's not a harsh thing. There's not some kind of, evil force inside of us trying to hold us down, right?
Oh, yeah.
It can feel like that because as
Yeah.
we were saying, sometimes we know exactly what we want to do. We wake up in the morning and we say, that's it.
Yeah.
I am going to eat healthy.
Yes.
I'm going to move my body. I am going to, save money or stop spending money in places where I don't need to be spending it, or I'm going to, really get in charge of my finances or my whatever it is. And then by midday say, wait, what happened? I forgot all about the goals that I set this morning and how wonderful it felt to entertain those ideas. So I'm so glad you're here to help us understand, why do we do that? Why does that happen? How do we stop it?
I know.
Where's the secret?
I know. So nice. So let me just say, it's so nice to be here, Lori, with you. So it's such an honor, honestly. And I've been excited about this whole event. So thanks so much.
Oh gosh,
This
thank you.
really is such an important topic, isn't it? Like, because what you just talked about, we will set these goals and we will go for something. We say, okay, today's the day. I'm going to stop that habit or whatever it is. And then we find ourselves mysteriously doing it again. And it creates it can create overwhelm for people. The topic of the thing is because it's so stressful, right? It's like, why do I not do the things that I say I'm going to do? And you might be super good at doing them in some area of your life, but in this, one or two areas of your life, you might have a pattern going on. And it can be just so frustrating for people. Once that happens, usually what kicks in is this self-beat up process, right? We start to totally get down on ourselves, frustrated with ourselves. And the mental self-talk that goes on is really harmful. Like, if you would never say that to somebody else, typically, right? The way that we might think, our thoughts going on, towards, you're so stupid, you're so dumb, whatever. I've heard it all, it's probably said it all to myself too, right? Such an idiot or whatever. And I like to say that, self-sabotage actually has a positive intent for you. And its positive intent is this really loving action of self-preservation.
Okay, so let me stop you there, because there's some people here who are like going to be hearing this for the first time and they're going to be like, wait, what? So the part of me that drives me to do the things that I don't want to do is being loving.
It's being loving.
And I agree with you entirely. I'm not, but I just want to really highlight that and let people kind of chew on that for a second. When you're acting out of alignment with your goals.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
This is an act of love. Tell me why. Help us understand this.
So it's really an act of love and self-preservation to keep you from having those emotions that you're not able to handle typically, right? So that are overwhelming, right? So this behavior gets wired into right into our nervous system, you know, and it starts from early on in life, actually, even in the womb, where, you know, how our mother was thinking and how things were going on, you know, as we were developing, right? It gets sort of our nervous system gets flooded with stuff. And so and then in our formative years, you know, how we grew up, the information that was given to us was whether it was safe to show up and shine and be ourselves, or we were shut down, or, you know, and it happens in school. It might not be the parents. It can be happen with our experiences that we have in life and so forth. So, you know, we will develop automatic behaviors, right, that are protective. Actually, they look like maybe, you know, something you wouldn't want to be doing, but in reality, it's helping soothe in a way, right? Like, so for example, you know, a lot of people will reach for food. It's very common, right? So you become a binge eater, an emotional eater or something, or you'll have like an overwhelming craving for something. And it's really because you're having an emotional reaction to something, typically from a subconscious thought. So then the food is a brilliant solution because it helps you feel better. Like all of a sudden your body gets flooded with neurotransmitters that are like serotonin and dopamine and, you know, all of those really feel good hormones, right? So then you've lovingly calmed yourself down.
In the best way that you could. Right?
Exactly.
And that's what I
Because
tell
those,
people. You know,
exactly.
mostly I do work. My primary focus is with women who are struggling with emotional eating.
Ah,
And when I
there you go.
see
Yeah,
everything you've ever done with food makes perfect sense.
it does.
You have
Yeah.
nothing to feel ashamed
Yeah.
about.
You you're not even misbehaving.
No.
It's not, it's in, you know, the alignment word. It's out of alignment with what you
Yeah.
want now.
Right.
But if you think about it, it's 2023 and we're reaching for a solution that might have been in the 1900s when we were growing up. So we're reaching for outdated
Yeah.
information, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the automatic programming that we got, that we developed a pattern, a cycle, right? And what I find is that this, you know, it ripples out and shows up in other areas of our life as well. So it shows up in our health, you know, and it'll impact our wealth. So those same patterns with food will often show up in our money, how we relate with money. Maybe people go, you know, your drug of choice, right? You're spending money or just ignoring your bills, or, you know, having stress about money and then going, you know, to fight with your spouse. Like it's, you know, so it plays out in all areas of our life, right? And if you can, in order to change it, you got to start looking at, okay, what's, you know, what's in the subconscious, what's driving that, so that you can clear it up, right?
Yeah.
But I say the key to doing that, and the approach that one has to have, is from a place of self-love, because that habit is there out of self-love.
Yeah.
And in order to have, you know, Lori, lasting transformation, this stuff has to be, you have to come from, I love myself so much that I want to heal this pattern so that I get to show up in life the way that I'm meant to and that I really want to, for how I show up in my life, with the people in my life, with my business, with my work, whatever it is, right? Because we all come with gifts and messages to share.
Yeah.
And if we are continuously beating ourselves up and not showing up, you know, in the way that we're meant to, then, as I was saying, like, everybody misses out.
Yes.
You know, everybody misses out on experiencing you the way, you know, who you're really meant to be, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's that self-love component, is that it, you know, and I don't mean like narcissistic self-love. I'm talking about actual, like, you know, honoring of yourself and loving yourself, you know, so much that, because this is your life.
Yes. Yeah.
It's your life, you know. And these habits, if you can take off, it helps you release the shame and the guilt and the blame that are really low vibration emotions, right? They're really
Absolutely.
low. And they, you know, like alignment. I love that word so much because,
Mhm.
you know, everything is energy,
Mhm.
and all of this emotional, you know, output is energy. So
Yeah.
what, you know, what you're putting out, you're attracting back to you. So if you're in an energy or a vibration of
Yeah.
shame and guilt and blame, and you're beating up on yourself for this stuff,
Mhm.
for self-preserving,
Yes.
sabotage,
Doing your best. Yeah.
doing our best, you know, then you're vibing that and you're putting that out, and you're getting back thoughts and
Yes.
emotions and
Yeah, absolutely.
experiences and even
Spiraling.
people,
Yeah.
exactly, who will reflect that back to you.
Mhm.
And that isn't what you want.
Yeah.
So it just accentuates it, you know.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. It really goes back to, our thoughts create our emotions, which create
Yeah.
our behavior, which create our
Yes.
extended life circumstances.
Yeah.
So just what you're saying, we
Yeah.
put out this, our thinking is creating a vibration, and then
Yeah.
everything else follows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
I
even the
really want to,
subconscious, so most
yes.
of us aren't aware of the thought.
Yeah.
It's so ingrained and so subconscious
Yeah. Yeah.
that we go, well, but I'm thinking positive, and I'm, yeah,
Yeah.
but what is
Yeah.
actually going on? Because things don't respond to your words, right? They respond to how you're actually feeling, and what you're vibrating at.
Right.
So to
And
speak in, you know, in energy terms,
that can be so tricky to really identify. I talk
yeah,
about, those subconscious limiting beliefs. I like to
yeah,
think of them like kind of like the music that plays at the grocery store. Like
yes,
you're kind of aware, yeah, I guess there's
yeah,
music playing,
perfect
but
analogy.
I'm
Yeah,
not really paying any attention to it, right?
yeah,
And yet that's what's driving my life.
yeah,
Is,
exactly.
is
Yeah.
that background music, right?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
And so then you're no longer in the driver's seat,
Yeah.
right? Like, so you've got some background thing taking control of your life,
Yeah.
and you don't even know, like, it's a hidden subconscious thought,
Yes.
right? And you know, oftentimes we're trying to think our way out of something that actually we can. It's, you know, to get underneath that stuff, um it really does take courage and love to look under there. And it's
Mhm.
not, you know, in order to expose it so that you can then heal it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise it stays hidden and plays in the background, that music
Yep.
that you can't quite pinpoint, but
Yeah. Yeah.
is actually taking over your life, you know.
Yeah. And I really love how you recognize the courage that it takes.
Yeah, it does
And
take courage. Yeah,
because even once you identify it, and when you can identify it, that's like, oh my gosh, you're
yeah,
70% of the way there at
exactly.
that point,
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
identification is such a challenging aspect of this work.
yeah.
But it's also a really scary place to be when you've
Hmm.
identified it and you're trying to choose something else.
Yeah.
And I tell people, being in that spot is like your old limiting belief is like this little tiny blanket that has all these holes in it. It's made of
Yes.
this rough, yarn. It's awful, but you keep trying to stretch it and you keep trying to get on it because it's better than nothing, right? But when you really are ready and you want to shed it, you have to get rid of that old scratchy blanket. But there's
Yes.
nothing in the meantime, right? To
Yeah. Yeah.
to cover you. And
Yeah.
so, and while you're knitting your new blanket, it's cold as hell.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there in this place of, oh, but I can't go back there because that's
Yeah.
not, where I want to be.
Yeah.
So it is a
Yeah.
courageous journey to really identify these and to say,
Yes.
I'm choosing this
Yes.
new way of being.
Yes.
It's incredible. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you because we were talking about self-love, and that's such a block for so many people.
Yeah.
They feel like, oh yeah, I know I'm supposed to love myself, but they tell me things like it doesn't feel good when I
Yeah.
try to love
Yeah.
myself. I want it to
Yeah.
come from somewhere else, from
Right.
someone else, or I
Yeah.
don't know how to do it. And the fact
Right.
is, so many of us weren't taught, right?
No.
We learn self-love by the beautiful attuned care that we get from our caregivers. And sometimes, not to put blame, but sometimes it
No.
just falls a little short of what our actual needs are. And so we
Yeah.
don't learn how
Yeah.
to do that. And so I'm
Yes.
curious how we can help people in this space, to start to learn how to do that.
You know, it's a great question. Like, I like to, if you could think about yourself as the little infant baby
Yeah.
that you once were. And when you hold an infant, how much, like, you automatically feel this we do. We automatically feel this love. You know, people start talking in baby
Yeah.
lingo and all this
Yeah.
stuff, right? So if you could imagine yourself as that baby who never got what she really needed, they tried their best, and they probably gave all the love that they could,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you could start to imagine yourself as that little baby, and imagine just pouring love into that baby, so that that baby feels so full up that she's a fountain of love,
Yeah.
that then gives love outwards, because remember, what you're putting out, you're getting back. And a lot of people I deal with it, they're like, but I love my family and I get love from them.
Yeah.
Actually, not really.
Yeah.
That's a need, and you're getting a need met,
Yes.
but you're not actually sharing this kind of love that comes from true self-love, when you honor your own needs. And again, not like looking in the mirror and being narcissistic. It's not a narcissistic love. It's a true love
Oh,
of
yes.
saying, like,
Yes.
it's a true love, you know, of saying, I love myself. Because I was, you know, don't be so selfish, and it's selfish to love yourself. Well, it's not. When you
Yes.
put the oxygen mask on yourself, that analogy everybody can relate to, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, then you help other people. It's the same with love. When you have self-love, other people reflect that love back to you. Like
Yeah.
they are just reflecting back to us what's going on. And that way people want to, you know, like, want
Just
to
like
give you more
babies.
love. It's like a
Yeah.
baby. And you're, you know how little kids, they are, you know, shameless, and they run around
Yeah.
naked, and they just
Yeah.
love themselves.
Yeah.
They don't have any kind of inhibitions going on. And if you could treat yourself a bit like, well, not run around naked, but you could do that at home, but more like that little child, you know, and say, what would a little child need? If you could
Yeah.
just keep referring
Yes.
to yourself like that, and not saying, well, you're old now, you don't need that stuff.
Right.
That's not
Right.
true, because somewhere inside is still a little child that
Yes.
still needs that kind of love and nurturing. And
Yeah.
again, when you're filling yourself up to that level, you then overflow with love, and everybody benefits from the overflow. And now you're not depleted and looking, what if somebody got mad at you and they just turned their love off suddenly, and now
Yeah.
you have no
Yeah.
love because your need was to get it from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And instead
Devastating.
you're sharing love, and you're
Right.
receiving love. And that is actually, you know, the most pure love, right? Is when you're
Yeah.
just coming from, I'm so full that I share my love, and I receive love back, but I'm not like, I need your love so I can
Right.
feel good, because that
Right.
is truly
Yeah.
selfish
Yeah.
when you're doing it, right? And we're like, oh, hang on, that wasn't my
Of
purpose. That
course.
wasn't
Yeah.
what I, but it is selfish, because we're
Yeah.
saying, I need your love so I can feel okay,
Right.
instead
Right.
of just, right? So
Yeah.
that's why, if we can change how we understand self-love, and then say, okay, so these things, I'm not broken. I'm not misbehaving. I'm
Right.
actually just behaving the way I was, you know, programmed,
Trained to do. Yes.
trained to do, programmed to
Exactly.
do. So I get to change that. And here's the part that is so beautiful and freeing, is that it is changeable.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
just like you received it, you can go, actually, it's no longer working for me.
Yes.
What if I could clear that out of my belief system? I don't even need to know the actual origin. I just need to know what it is
Yeah.
to clear it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's stories that we had, and we can
Mm-hmm.
clear the emotional connection to that, so we get free, that we can heal it and let go of having that background stuff play out and reenact itself continuously in our life,
Yes.
if we're not liking the results,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. And our results tell us exactly
Yeah.
what we've been thinking.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
sometimes it's not as hard as we think it is to
Yeah.
identify what that thinking, even that subconscious thinking
Exactly.
is, because all we
Yeah.
have to do is look at what I've been creating.
Yeah.
And at that moment, we know exactly what's living in the subconscious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
really love
looking at
that.
it from an eye, again, I always come back and say, okay, let go of judgment. When you look at it,
Yeah.
it's just information. And if you can
Data.
do
Yeah.
it from just information, Lori, then you're not like infusing it with all of those, you know, judgy
Yeah.
in a negative way, emotions, so that you're
Mhm.
then sort of like making it even stronger because you're
Absolutely.
putting your attention on it as negative and that you've been
Yeah.
bad and all this kind of stuff. Actually, no.
Yeah.
No, it's just misguided love. It's a way of
Makes
you
perfect sense.
survived
Yes.
whatever it was that you went through, and now you get to change that to be
Hmm.
aligned
Hmm.
with what it is that you truly want. And
Yeah.
based on your results, you get to then tweak and clear stuff up. I think it's kind of an always going to be stuff we're going to have to upgrade, and change, but not from a like it's never ending and it seems
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah.
That's not it, right?
Yeah.
You can clear up some really big things, and you'll notice that a lot of the other stuff that's been attached to it falls away too.
Yes, yes. I always think of
Have
it,
you
I
found that?
describe it as some of the things are like these big rivers, and then they have
Yeah.
lots of tributaries, right? And
Yes.
when you get a hold of and you dry up one of those big rivers,
Yeah.
then all the little tributaries dry
Exactly.
up as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And there
Um,
might be a few of those, and then you're like, huh, I'm actually behaving
yeah,
differently. Well,
yeah,
why? Because
right,
you've got a new training, a new program that
right,
you're referencing.
right,
Now you've
right.
got your updated, internal
Yeah.
software that is current in
Yeah.
2023. It's no longer, I say the 1900s because I'm born,
Right,
1900s, not 23,
right.
but and then it just kind of makes it light, and you can let go
It can be
like that of
fun.
really
Yeah,
old stuff
yeah.
and
Okay, I have
fun.
an example that came from today. So I want to share this really quickly because it really highlights what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I have this, I don't know exactly where it came from. I have some ideas because I had some experiences, but I have this thing with my car. Like I'm really
Yeah.
afraid that my car is going to break down and I'm going to
Hmm.
be on the side of the road and I'm not going to have any resources. This comes from when I was in college and I was driving this car and it did break down, right? And I
Right.
didn't know what to do. And I took it as a young girl to a place, and I kind of had a bad experience where they
Right.
took my money, but they didn't actually fix what was going on. And
Oh,
so
wow.
all of this lives in me, right? So that's my
Yeah.
programming. I'm living from
Yeah.
this place. And so recently we took my car to a mechanic, and the mechanic said, yeah, these aren't the best cars, which I was very surprised because I thought it was a
Right.
great car. And they cost a lot of money to fix, and they tend to have problems. You might want to consider, well, ever since he said that a few days ago, I can't stop thinking about my car. Oh my gosh, I got to fix this. I'm so unsettled. And then I had to step back and I'm like, what's going
What's
on
going on?
here? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
What's
ready
going
to
on?
like drive it to
Yeah.
a place and say, just
Right.
give me whatever, and I'm just going to take whatever, and make a rash decision that really wouldn't serve me, right? That would be out
Yeah.
of alignment with
Yeah.
my bigger goals. And so I was talking about it today with my partner. I said, isn't this interesting? It's kind of fun actually that I can stand here and notice
Yes.
that
Yeah.
I'm acting or
Yes.
thinking from an old pattern, but I don't have to act from it. I don't
Yes.
actually have to
Yeah.
get in the car like I might have in the past, drive to the place and just say, just give me a new car because I can't
Yeah.
handle it.
I can't handle it because I feel so stressed. And that is you're becoming the observer in your own
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
And so, with that awareness, that's true freedom, Lori.
yeah. It's power.
When you
Mhm.
can watch yourself doing something and start to go, oh, that have an awareness.
Yeah. And I
Does
love,
that
we don't
support
have
me
to
or
be
not?
healed in the standpoint of,
No,
I don't have to be at a place where I never have any
you
thoughts
never
from
will
evil.
be.
Yeah. And that's
Well,
not
I
our
don't know about that,
goal.
but yeah.
Right. And that
Yeah.
doesn't have to be our goal. We can,
No,
we can just be, but us reassert ourselves and our power and act in alignment. That's the freedom. And that's the
exactly.
choice
Exactly.
that we can make. So
And
yeah,
then when we make mistakes, we just go, oh, I did that thing again. Okay, I'm just
data.
going to cancel that. I'm going to do, like try again. And it's like little children when they're learning to walk. It's a great analogy because when you think
Absolutely.
about it, little toddlers, when they're learning to walk, they are so excited and
Mhm.
they fall down, and they don't just stay down and go, oh my
Yeah.
God, that's it. I'm never
That's
doing
it.
that
I'm
again.
never meant to walk.
Never meant to walk. They get up again and they keep
Yeah.
trying and keep trying, and they're so thrilled when they do it. And
Yeah.
they don't lament the falls and everything. We only learn that later on to really
Right.
shame ourselves over
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But the key, to what you were talking about is you have the awareness now,
Yeah.
and you're able to watch yourself catch yourself. You get caught up, and then you're like, hang on, what am
Yeah.
I doing?
Yeah. And actually have
That's
a sense of
powerful.
fun to be
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, look at this. Wow,
Yeah.
my brain is
Yeah.
doing that.
And see, oh, look
So
at that.
neat.
My
Yeah.
powerful brain,
Yeah.
went back to an old file in the memory
Yeah.
cabinet of my
To
mind
keep
and
me
said,
safe.
Lori,
Yeah.
remember the last time? And
Yeah.
and that happens in these, pico nanosecond, like it's so fast that
Totally.
there's, you can't even, probably remember
Oh,
when it happened, but it was
right.
so fast. It delivered up that file
Yeah.
and said, this is, you got to be, whatever, it's referencing that old memory you had with
Right.
your car
Right.
breaking down, and then getting taken advantage of it at the garage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Which is such a beautiful example of what we've been talking about as far as it being an act of self-preservation and an
yeah,
act of love. My
yeah,
brain didn't do that to sabotage me
not at
and
all.
try to
Yeah,
create a horrible situation for me. It
yeah,
did it because it said, hey, I really need you to see this back here, because if, to the extent that that could happen again, I want to protect you and take care of
yeah,
you. So
yeah.
yeah, it really is
Yeah,
a
your inner
beautiful thing.
self is always working on your best behalf. It's just
Yeah.
working sometimes with information that no longer serves you.
Yeah.
That's it, you know?
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah,
that's such a beautiful
yeah.
connection.
I always like, can we not have transformation through joy rather than struggle? Like if we could just change the paradigm of what is
Mhm.
transforming. It's like, oh my God, I have so much to fix. No,
Yeah,
you don't.
yeah, yeah,
Nobody needs fixing.
yeah.
But you can, this is the beautiful thing about working in this, with people, and helping people clear up these, as
Mhm.
you mentioned, limiting beliefs and inner programming and stuff, is to find freedom in their life. I just find that such rewarding work, because it doesn't take years. It can happen so quickly that you're like, oh my gosh, I have been struggling with this for decades. I did,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
not knowing a way
Same, yeah.
out, because it was all in the hidden realm,
And because we just try to go about it by controlling,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
By just
Exactly.
saying, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to
Yeah.
use my willpower. I'm going to
Yeah.
use and it never works. And that's why
That's the
we stay
conscious
in this
mind
cycle.
thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
For years and years, control, control. How do I
Control.
control myself? And
Yeah.
what we teach, and I love, because my program is called Freedom, and you speak so much of freedom,
Oh, I
because
love freedom.
freedom
Yeah.
is not learning how to control yourself.
No, it isn't. No.
Freedom is actually being able to have the awareness
Yeah.
of what's happening, and not even want to,
Yeah.
like, there was no desire in me to actually drive to the
Yeah.
place and say,
Yeah.
just give me whatever, I'll pay whatever.
Yeah.
It was just a memory, and that's what freedom is, not
Yeah.
having to control myself. And the same
No.
with like food, or the same with money.
Same with money.
Yeah.
And it's having choice, because when you have the awareness and you have
Yeah.
the ability to pause and take a breath, you can now have a choice, because you have this gap between
Yeah.
the thought and the action. Whereas before it was you were on autopilot.
Yeah. Oh,
This
yes. Yes.
automatic, right, thought action. I have driven home before when I didn't mean to go home. I meant to go to the grocery store, but I was, constantly, it would be the same route, and I'm like, why did I go all the way home? I was on
Yeah.
autopilot,
On
didn't
pilot.
even notice it. So that's how our
Mhm,
brain works. It codes things in there, and
mhm.
it just does it for us,
Right. Yeah.
and
So then these are the habits. These are the default
they
systems.
are the
But we
defaults.
don't
Yeah.
have to live by the default, because we have
No.
something higher than that, right? We
Yeah,
have
we
our
do. Yeah.
incredible higher self that has the ability to see that and
Yes.
make different choice. So
Yeah.
one more question that I have for you is,
Yeah.
what are some of or what's the most, if you could only choose one, right? What's the number one tool that you use to help people to achieve these things, and to step out of autopilot and kind of regain that mindfulness, that consciousness of who they are and what they actually want to be doing, driving to the grocery store instead of
Yeah.
home?
I use a combination of EFT, so emotional freedom technique,
Yeah.
NLP, and visualization techniques and stuff like that. But EFT, if I had to choose one, I would use EFT for sure, because it
Yeah.
is so powerful at
Mhm,
helping
mhm.
at helping rewire the nervous system,
Yeah.
literally. like,
Mhm.
and the thoughts that are connected to, certain events, right? And so
Yeah.
that then you talk about, I love the name of your program, if it's freedom, is like, then you get free to
Right.
make a new choice. And when you make new choices aligned with your, not the default choice, the one that you actually on purpose choose, the
Yeah.
one that that you desire, and then you get to be in charge of your life. That's when you really are, the saying, you create your own life or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people go,
Master of your
what
destiny
does that
or
mean?
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, what does that mean? It's a catchy saying. What does that mean? It means when you actually are actually consciously
Yeah.
programming yourself to in alignment with what it is that you really want for yourself, what you're called to do in life, what you're,
Mhm.
those, we all have stuff, right? Like, you're like, I
Yeah.
don't know, I just really like this thing or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so, you know, that from I have, yeah, freedom is, if I looked at my top 5 values, freedom is definitely number one. Like, it is
Yes.
something that drives me, and I like helping other people get free from those kind of thoughts that
Mhm.
they're like, I just can't seem to get away from it.
Yeah.
And again, because we try to solve the problem from the conscious mind, and that's not where the
That's
solution
what got
lies.
us there in the first place. Right? And so
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
Einstein quote that says we can't, find the
Yeah.
solution using the same thinking that got us there in the first place.
Exactly.
Something
Exactly.
like
And
that.
you
But
know,
yeah, it's so true.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, from having that, okay, self-compassion, self-love perspective, the reason you're doing it is because you want to feel better so that you can show up, and enjoy
Yes.
your life.
Yes.
We're here to do the things we're meant to do, and to have,
Yeah.
enjoyment and love and all of those good things as we go along. And I don't think we get there through self-punishment. That goes, for health. You can't punish yourself into good health, and you can't punish
Yeah.
yourself into being, abundant and wealthy in all areas of your life. You just can't. And that energy doesn't attract back to
No,
you
no, because
good things.
it sucks up all the energy, because to be
It
in
does.
battle with yourself is
Yeah.
more than we can even handle.
Yeah.
And
And
so
if you
when we
have,
set down the battle,
pardon me.
when we set down the battle, right?
Yes.
That's when we
Yeah.
can actually start to work with ourselves and make
Yeah.
progress. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always say, like, the good news story is that all of this stuff, like, yesterday's gone and all of that, and that we get to create today from this new awareness. So if we're doing it on purpose and unconsciously, like, how amazing is that? Like,
Yeah.
you're not
Bound by
destined
the
to have
past
to.
anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
So that's a part that's so freeing as well, is that, even if you've been struggling it for 60 years or 70 years, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow is, you can have a different experience.
Yes.
And that is the good news, is
Yes.
that Overwhelm, I installed a delete button recently. I was just like, a mental delete button. And I
Yeah.
just go, whenever, if I have that, that feeling where,
There's a
again,
lot
you
going
can
on. Too much.
overwhelm, I can just mentally push the button in my mind. I love visualization because I'm,
Yeah,
and
me too.
yeah, well, most of us are good at visualizing. Some people can't,
Yeah.
but they can just imagine that they're doing it, and you can start to train yourself to get tapped into your
Yeah.
imagination
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
But I just push that delete button, Lori, and I go,
Uh-huh.
I instantly feel better. And, our minds are so powerful. If you think of that baby I told you about, you can find yourself, you just imagine a baby, and think about looking at it. You can find your body relax, and you might even be smiling, right? And then
Yeah.
if you think about something sad, your body chemistry will change. That's how powerful our
Oh
minds
my
are. It
gosh.
doesn't actually have to
Renee,
be
there are
happening.
so many incredible studies. There's
I
this,
know.
the one that in particular they love to send people to, where two groups of people never played piano before in their lives. One group received lessons with an actual piano, moved their fingers. Another group only used visualization, could not even move their fingers. They practiced the same amount of time. At the end of the study, they each were given the piece, whatever, and the results of the incredible performance and
Wow.
by the people who only visualized. I mean,
Yeah.
there's tons of this research. Joe
Yeah.
Dispenza cites so
Oh
much of
yeah.
it and
Yeah.
relies on it a lot for our own ability to create new existence through thinking about it. So I love that you're bringing in
Yes.
that element of
Yeah.
visualization. And, you know, when we're cared for in the way that really meets our needs as we're babies, neural pathways are formed,
Yes.
synapses and connections are made.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's okay that it didn't happen exactly, you know, maybe
Yes.
for a lot of us, because
Yeah.
when you're doing the visualization and taking care of that baby, you're
Yeah.
forming those
Yes.
pathways, and you get to redo it. You get to parent
Yeah.
yourself. You get to bring yourself what you need. So
Yes.
what you're talking about is just such a powerful way of
Hmm.
creating a new brain,
Yes. Yeah.
and then you get to
Exactly.
create a new life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're creating a brand new life. Every day you
Yeah.
get to wake up and go like, I get to choose what I thought. Yes. You know, the same
Yeah.
feeling thoughts. Most of us do. We all choose the same. I think Joe's dispenses with the same
Yeah,
70,000
by
thoughts or whatever.
35,
Yeah. How
we're
many?
90 some percent of our thoughts are the
Yeah.
same thoughts from the day before.
The day before. Right. And starts, you know, the other, techniques, you know, that is really just like starting to be in control, or not the word control as in
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
manipulating, but to be in charge
Yeah.
of your emotion, your energy. So
Mhm.
there's simple things, you know, how you start your day. Like, do you pick up your phone right away and start looking at stuff and getting into an, you know, an
Yeah,
overwhelmed
yeah,
state because you're opening yourself up to all kinds of information that's, you know, streaming from the World Wide Web around the
yes,
world,
yeah.
right? You know, or is it taking time to go outdoors, ground yourself, do breathing techniques, visualization? I'm not talking hours here either. I
Mhm,
just mean
mhm.
like taking time to set your energy for the day that then you take throughout the day, and you just retune yourself, you know, a couple times through the day, you know, by doing breathing techniques or 15-minute, you know, meditation or something. And it's really start say like, I'm in charge, not my mind. I'm in charge of my
Yeah,
mind. My mind
yeah.
isn't in charge of me. And
Yes.
so taking charge of that gives you the ability to have that kind of freedom you were talking about with the cars, where
Mhm.
you can go, oh, look at me behaving now.
Yeah,
Now
look at my brain, yeah.
I can be the observer of my brain, not my brain in charge, running the
Mhm.
thoughts, you know, making me overwhelmed. No, I take a few minutes throughout the day to set my energy up so that I'm starting from that place of feeling the
Regulated.
pardon me,
Yeah, regulated.
regulated,
Yeah.
parasympathetic, which is that rest and, you know, and peace state in
Mhm,
your body
mhm,
where you can
mhm.
digest and do things. And now you're not running with fear, anxiety, or, you know, or frustration, or any of those kind of emotions that can, throughout our day, we're all going to be faced with that kind of stuff. It's not that you're never going to have those emotions.
Yeah,
It's, are they
yeah,
dominating you and running your daily experience or not?
yeah.
So those are other things like, you know, honestly, just breathing tech, 5 minutes of just checking in
Yes.
with your breath, and deep
Mhm.
breathing does, like, everything happens on the breath. Like, breath is life, right? So if we're up here breathing tight, we'll
Yeah,
find ourselves also feeling
yeah,
overwhelmed and
yeah.
stressed, and we'll be reaching for those old habits that look like sabotage, you know,
Mhm.
more food, cookies, whatever that go-to is.
Yeah.
um,
Amazon,
Amazon shopping, dealing, you know, or, and
Netflix.
money's another one. Like, money, you know, is a survival energy too, right?
Yeah,
It's an
absolutely.
energy that we
Right,
need.
yeah,
And when we're not feeling safe or good, it'll show up in our money too. Like, we'll
100%.
either, right, feel fearful about the money,
Yeah.
or just, you know, overspending, not looking at things,
Which
just
creates
doing
more overwhelm,
part of
right?
which,
Creates
yeah, exactly, because that's how the world works. It's you know, you just get more and more of what you're doing, like, and so I love helping with money, because
yeah.
money is this neutral energy that it takes on the energy that we put on it. Isn't that
Yes,
interesting? Like, it is
yes, it's
neutral.
so,
It's
yeah.
neutral, but it comes with a lot of baggage, because we've,
Oh,
as
it
humans,
our whole lives. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's another one that shows
Yeah.
up, and that people,
Struggle
these,
with. Yeah.
yeah,
Big time.
yeah,
So that brings us to your amazing free gift, which I think is going to be so important to so many people. They're listening to this and they're like, yeah, tell
yeah.
me more about money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a free gift. It's a 7 big mistakes that keep you sabotaging your money and your wealth. And it's really about connections in the nervous system between money
Mhm.
and, different energies that we have on money. So there's 7 of them, and there's more, but I've sort of the 7 big ones and how they actually play out in your money. And if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner or a coach or anything like that, or even in your job, if you're, all of this stuff is all relevant because it
Oh
does
yeah.
show up. Yeah.
And how you run your finances at
How
home.
you run your
And yeah.
finances, even let's say if you were working a job and you went, you never ask for a raise or whatever, because
Mm.
if you have certain feelings about, again, your internal representation of yourself is plays out in your money as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's people that don't have problems with money, but it will show up in other ways. Like, it's
Of
really
course. Yeah.
interesting. So money is this beautiful trading tool that we all need and use.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so it's very, my intention is to have, some enlightening,
Yeah. Yeah.
moments for you when you're reading, and you're just like, oh, I never thought about that around
Yes.
money. Like,
Yeah.
how that thinking or that feeling and emotion or what I'm doing with money is affecting my actual money and abundance flow. And how you do anything is often how you do a lot of different things, right? So if we're, emotionally, with money having struggle, right? Then,
Yeah.
like we talked about with food, or even in relationships, often those areas in our life,
Sure.
it'll
Yeah.
show up, so
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is
yeah.
incredible. Thank you so much for
So my
offering
pleasure.
that to this community. I think that's going to really speak to a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate to stop because I'm having
I
so
know, I've been having
much
such fun with
fun.
you.
And I can't imagine a scenario in which we would run out of stuff to talk about and
No, me neither,
to
Lori.
share. This
It's
has
been a
been
joy,
so much fun. And I appreciate you, just the work you're doing, just who you are out in the world,
Thank you so much.
for
Yeah,
sharing that with me and with all of these
yeah.
incredible people. And you guys, I hope that you definitely take advantage of this free gift and just explore, just go in with an open mind and see what you find.
Yeah,
I think that could be really fun. We're not, it's not about, oh gosh, I'm doing bad and I have to fix it.
yes,
If you take anything away from the time with us, I hope that it is, you're never doing anything bad when you're acting
exactly.
from your old programming. It's just you're acting from your old programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people that gave it to you, they're not to blame. It's just like, if we can let go of all of that and go,
Yeah.
it is, I'm just,
Now what do I want to do?
I get to be in choice
Yeah.
now. I'm in charge of me. And
Yeah.
that is,
Yeah.
you know, freedom again
It
is, you're
is.
meant
It
to be
is
free, right?
freedom.
So
We are
yeah.
all meant to be free. Thank you for.
Yeah. And I really have just thoroughly enjoyed our chat together today.
Yeah,
And,
me too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a joy.
Well, I'm looking forward to next time and certainly
Me
looking
too.
forward to all of you listening and tuning in for all the shows and all the interviews in this series, and looking forward to connecting with you and all of that. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon.